Can everyone hear me? Yep. Okay, so one of the key emphasis of this course has been to show that resources, environment and society are complex, interconnected and contested. And in order to show this interrelation between society, resources and environment, we've had to rethink a whole lot of concepts. And this has made us look at some of the myths and the assumptions that we've made, as well as then lead us to ask some bigger questions, and then has impacted how we've learnt. So the way I've seen it, there are 5 main interconnected themes that this course has brought up, which I'll go into in a bit more detail later. But the main ones are resources, environment and nature, technology and biophysical, the economy and the market, society and culture, and power, politics and equity. And these have been shaped by various other factors such as globalisation, development, colonialism, as well as modernisation and industrialisation. And the course really has brought into our attention is how we're actually going to affect change. And factors such as governmental policy and social capital have really been stressed. At the same time, though, the course has really emphasised that there are limitations to actually implementing this change. And these things such as context and scale are some of these limitations that need to be understood. Okay, so just to go through some of these key concepts. So the current perceptions of environment, nature and resources need to be understood as socially and culturally constructed through events such as globalisation, development and colonialism, as well as through the paradigm of scientific knowledge. Additionally, one of the key emphasis of the course has been that power really shapes our understanding of the environment. And a lot of the lecturers really have stressed that the environment is inherently political. And thirdly, understandings of society, of nature and environment and resources are shaped by our society and culture, which then impact the way that we act. And fourthly, that global transformations and the impact of the market and the capitalist economy have really impacted the way that we understand resources, both in a global terms as well as in local, and we need to understand the relationship between the two. And lastly, that biophysical and technological change innovations are actually really important. However, we really need to understand the context and scope in which they are applied in order to actually implement change. So in order to understand these concepts better, we've explored a whole lot of myths in this course. And so one of the main myths for me was exploring the concept of geography, and that it's not just about maps and the National Geographic perspective of exotic people and places, and it's not just about rote learning, but it's something a lot more complex. Another key myth that we explored in our essay was that humans are part of ecosystems. We can't see them as outside of nature. And another key myth was looking at the fact that the way that Australian society constructs factors such as drought and wilderness and how they shape our identity, yet at the same time they are socially constructed. So through dispelling these myths, the course has raised a whole lot of key questions. And so one of these questions is, what is the state of the environment? Are we doomed, or as Looney might say, domed? Or are there more fruits for our enjoyment, as the cornucopian perspective might say? And then how do we act given these perspectives? Additionally, how do we make environmental decisions when there are not only conflicting environmental perspectives but conflicting values, such as the Makar perspectives in Wales and Indigenous fire management perspectives? And then how do we accommodate these perspectives in an increasingly globalised and interconnected world? How do we ensure that resources are equitably distributed, that the right people get the right resources at the right time? And how do we enact environmental change? What methods do we do to ensure it? Is it through protests? Is it through the government? Is it through Millennium Goals or education? I don't know the answer to these questions, but these are some of the key questions the course has raised. And finally, on this point of education, the course has really stressed the role of learning and research in understanding social change. And so through this course, I learned about learning is connecting the dots, although not all the dots will meet up, unfortunately, but it's an attempt to get the holistic picture. And finally, I learned that research is snowballing, that you start with simple text and expand research exponentially, and that will hopefully get you a larger picture. And that's it. That's all right.